Welcome to Malice and Mystery, where shadows whisper and the unknown beckons. Step into a realm of spine-tingling horror, eerie mysteries, and chilling tales. From real-life paranormal encounters to unsolved enigmas and spine-chilling urban legends, we bring you the darkest stories from the shadows. Subscribe if you dare, and remember, some mysteries are better left unsolved. The Mystery of the Vanishing Hotel Room 1. The arrival, the rain poured relentlessly as Eleanor Harper stepped out of the taxi and onto the cobblestone driveway of the Grand Blackwood Hotel. The imposing Victorian structure loomed before her, its Gothic spires piercing the stormy sky. Eleanor adjusted her glasses, clutching her suitcase tightly as she hurried up the steps to the grand entrance. She had been looking forward to this weekend getaway, a chance to escape the chaos of her busy life in the city. The Grand Blackwood, with its reputation for old-world charm and mystery, seemed like the perfect retreat. The lobby was a masterpiece of vintage elegance. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the polished mahogany floors, and the air was thick with the scent of aged wood and lavender. A grand staircase spiraled up to the upper floors, its banister intricately carved with motifs of vines and flowers. Behind the reception desk stood a tall, gaunt man with silver hair and piercing blue eyes. He wore a crisp black suit and a name tag that read, "Mr. Whitaker, Manager." "Good evening, madam," he said with a slight bow. "Welcome to the Grand Blackwood." "How may I assist you?" Eleanor smiled. "I have a reservation under Harper." Eleanor Harper. Mr. Whitaker's fingers danced across the keyboard of an ancient-looking computer. "Ah, yes. Room 314. A lovely room with a view of the gardens. I'll have someone escort you." As Eleanor waited, she couldn't shake the feeling that the hotel was watching her. The portraits on the walls seemed to follow her with their eyes, and the faint sound of a piano playing somewhere in the distance sent a shiver down her spine. Room 314, a young bellhop appeared, his uniform slightly too large for his slender frame. He introduced himself as Thomas and led Eleanor to the elevator. The ride was slow and creaky, the kind that made you question its safety. When the doors finally opened on the third floor, Thomas gestured down the dimly lit hallway. "Room 314 is just down there, ma'am. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call the front desk." Eleanor thanked him and made her way to her room. A key turned smoothly in the lock, and she stepped inside. The room was spacious and elegantly furnished, with a four-poster bed, a writing desk, and a large window that overlooked the hotel's sprawling gardens. Despite the storm outside, the room felt warm and inviting. She unpacked her belongings and decided to explore the hotel before dinner. As she left her room, she noticed something odd. The number on her door 314 seemed to shimmer faintly as though it were alive. She blinked, and the effect was gone. Shaking her head, she dismissed it as a trick of the light. 3. The disappearance. The next morning, Eleanor woke to the sound of birds chirping outside her window. The storm had passed, and the sun streamed through the curtains, casting a golden glow over the room. She dressed quickly and headed downstairs for breakfast. The dining room was a bustling hub of activity. Guests chatted over plates of eggs and toast, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Eleanor found a quiet table by the window and ordered a cup of tea. As she sipped her drink, she overheard a conversation at the next table. "Did you hear about room 314? A woman whispered to her companion. "No, what about it?" The man replied, "They say it disappears. One minute it's there, the next it's gone. People have checked in, only to find their room missing when they return." Eleanor's heart skipped a beat. Room 314. That was her room. She strained to hear more, but the couple had moved on to another topic. Determined to get to the bottom of this, she finished her breakfast and returned to the third floor. When she reached her room, she froze. The door was gone. In its place was a blank wall, indistinguishable from the rest of the hallway. She ran her hands over the surface, searching for any sign of a doorframe or hinges, but there was nothing. It was as though the room had never existed. 4. The investigation. Eleanor hurried back to the lobby, her mind racing. She approached Mr. Whitaker, who was busy organizing a stack of papers behind the reception desk. "Excuse me," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Something wrong with my room. It's gone." Mr. Whitaker looked up, his expression unreadable. "Gone, madam? What do you mean?" "Room 314. I stayed there last night. But when I went back just now, the door was gone. It's just a wall there now." The manager's face remained impassive. "I'm afraid there must be some mistake. Room 314 doesn't exist." Eleanor's heart pounded. "But I stayed there last night. Have the key right here." She held up the brass key, its number gleaming in the light. Mr. Whitaker took the key and examined it closely. "This is indeed a key to room 314, he said slowly. "But I assure you, madam, there is no such room in this hotel." Eleanor felt a chill run down her spine. "Then where did I sleep last night?" The manager's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps you would like to speak with our historian, Mr. Grayson. He knows more about the hotel's history than anyone." 5. The historian, Mr. Grayson, was an elderly man with a shock of white hair and a pair of round spectacles perched on his nose. He sat in a small, cluttered office on the second floor, surrounded by stacks of books and yellowed documents. When Eleanor explained her situation, he listened intently, his fingers steepled beneath his chin. "Room 314, you say?" he murmured. "That's a name I haven't heard in many years. So it does exist?" Eleanor asked eagerly. Mr. Grayson leaned back in his chair, his eyes distant. "It did. Once. But not anymore. You see, room 314 was the site of a terrible tragedy many decades ago. A young woman named Eliza Blackwood, the daughter of the hotel's original owner, died there under mysterious circumstances. After her death, the room was sealed off and removed from the hotel's records. It was as though it had never existed." Eleanor's mind raced. "But how could I have stayed there last night if it doesn't exist?" Mr. Grayson sighed. "The Grand Blackwood is an old building, Miss Harper. It has its secrets. Some say the hotel is alive, that it chooses who can see its hidden rooms and who cannot. Perhaps it chose you for a reason." 6. The search for answers. Determined to uncover the truth, Eleanor spent the rest of the day exploring the hotel. She pored over old guest registers in the library, searching for any mention of room 314. She interviewed staff members, but none would speak of the room. It was as though it had been erased from memory. As evening fell, Eleanor returned to the third floor. She stood before the blank wall where her room had been, her mind swirling with questions. Suddenly, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. Small, almost imperceptible crack in the wallpaper. She pressed her hand against it, and to her astonishment, the wall gave way, revealing a hidden door. Her heart pounding, Eleanor pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was exactly as she had left it, the bed neatly made, her suitcase sitting by the desk. But there was something different. The air was colder, and the shadows seemed to dance in the corners of the room. On the desk, she found a letter, its paper yellowed with age. It was addressed to her. 7. The letter, Dear Eleanor. If you are reading this, then you have found room 314. I do not know how or why you have been chosen, but I believe it is no accident. My name is Eliza Blackwood, and I was once the mistress of this hotel. My life was taken from me in this very room, and my spirit has been trapped here ever since. I cannot rest until the truth of my death is revealed. I believe you are the one who can help me. Please, Eleanor, uncover the secrets of this hotel and set me free. Yours in hope, Eliza Blackwood." Eleanor's hands trembled as she read the letter. She felt a strange connection to Eliza, as though their fates were intertwined. She knew she couldn't leave the hotel until she had uncovered the truth. 8. The truth revealed over the next few days, Eleanor delved deeper into the history of the Grand Blackwood. She discovered that Eliza had been engaged to a man named Charles Whitaker, the son of the hotel's manager at the time. But their love had been forbidden, and when Eliza's father found out, he had Charles banished from the hotel. Heartbroken, Eliza had locked herself in room 314 and refused to come out. Days later, she was found dead, the victim of an apparent suicide. But Eleanor wasn't convinced. She found evidence suggesting that Eliza had been murdered and that Charles Whitaker had been the one to do it. With the help of Mr. Grayson, Eleanor confronted Mr. Whitaker, the current manager and descendant of Charles. At first, he denied everything, but when presented with the evidence, he broke down and confessed. His family had been hiding the truth for generations, afraid of the scandal it would bring. 9. The final goodbye with the truth revealed. Eleanor returned to room 314 one last time. As she stepped inside, she felt a presence in the room. The air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to coalesce into the form of a young woman. "Thank you, Eleanor," Eliza whispered. "You have set me free." The room began to fade, the walls dissolving into mist. Eleanor felt a sense of peace wash over her as Eliza's spirit finally found rest. 10. The aftermath. Eleanor checked out of the Grand Blackwood the next morning. As she stood in the lobby, she glanced up at the portraits on the walls. For a moment, she thought she saw Eliza's face among them, smiling down at her. Mr. Whitaker had been arrested, and the hotel was under new management. Eleanor knew that the Grand Blackwood would always hold a special place in her heart, but she also knew that she could never return. Some mysteries were best left in the past. As she stepped out into the sunlight, Eleanor felt a sense of closure. She had solved the mystery of the Vanishing Hotel Room, and in doing so, she had found a piece of herself that she hadn't even realized was missing. The Grand Blackwood would always be a place of secrets and shadows. But for Eleanor, it was also a place of redemption and hope. And as she walked away, she knew that she would carry its story with her for the rest of her life. Thanks for watching. Would you dare go hiking alone in one of these national parks? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales of the mysterious and macabre. Until next time, stay curious and stay cautious.